This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carinante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carinante. Pulse check, off day, Yankees on a plane. Series against the Twins, coming off the lowest point of the year, or maybe not. I don't really know. Like, what's the lowest point? Is it the third game against Houston where they no-show? Is it the Miami game? For me, I think it's the Miami game. Maybe it's the Devin Williams blown save in Tampa, if you want to get technical. Maybe it's one of the two Red Sox series. Maybe it's one of the two road Toronto series. And there's a lot of low-ass points. But the Sunday before this series was the one where it was like, I had a chance to really ride that momentum. And now we're pretty much out of the playoffs. Got to sweep the Twins to get some people back on board. Like, who's to say the Twins don't win this series? Who's to say? Why would we take the Twins seriously, who've been playing a little bit better since selling everybody off? We don't take anybody seriously. And then the Yankees come in and, hey, they win 2 baseball games. And they win 2 baseball games, but they win the first game of a series for the first time since July 11th. And they win the second game by a 9-1 margin. And it's like, all right, that's a win. Carlos Rodon threw 7 one-hit innings after loading the bases with no outs. That's a win. Then the third one is waterlogged, and Aaron Boone makes some bad decisions, and they just lose a sleepy game against Joe Ryan. It'd be the most NBD game of all time if it was in the middle of May, but it was, a sweepable series you kind of needed to sweep, and a really low effort and some bad mistakes by Aaron Boone. And just like when you've got like a 2-hour rain delay in your building, it's not favorable for anybody, but the Twins are flying out to another city that night to play today. The Yankees have an off day. That's one where it's like, this is a wonky game and unpleasant, but it should be more unpleasant for the opponent who's got more time constraints. And you should take advantage of that. When Bellinger homers, you're like, are they going to win the Joe Ryan game? No, they're not. And they're going to make it really dull in the process. Then we're going to learn Paul Goldschmidt is injured as they head to St. Louis, which is a 500 team that just got battered around a little bit, especially in the bullpen by the Rockies. But the Cardinals' road games in St. Louis have been a house of horrors for these Yankees the last couple of years. I'll never forget when they sent Frankie Montas there to debut, and he just got the shit kicked out of him, and they got swept. And then I was like, you know what? What isn't a house of horrors on the road for the Aaron Boone Yankees? Like, they do pretty well in Kansas City and Minnesota. Like, what isn't a house of horrors? Where do you like to go? They're all bad. So all this to say, state of the Yankees, I'm going to give them like a 6.5. I give them a chance. They're a game up. They're tied in the loss column. Let's see what the Marlins can do in Cleveland tonight. I cannot believe I'm scoreboard watching the Marlins tonight and through the rest of the week because they go to Boston. What is this life? The Yankees, by expected win-loss record, are 5 games worse than they should be, and we all know how they got there. The Guardians are 6 games better than they should be, according to run differential and all those metrics. And what do we got? That means tied in the loss column for teams that should be separated by 11 games. I hate this season so much. Thomas Carinante, welcome to the show.
Number grade for state of the Yankees? I don't know. It's definitely a D, and that the 6.5 range, I think.
The number is D. I mean, I'm happier now than I was on Sunday, but again, what the lowest bar to clear? I
still didn't clear it.
I thought we were going to do a podcast today, though, that was like, you guys were all joking about the Twins and how they get the Yankees back on track. And here we are. We lost 2 out of 3. You guys happy now? And they didn't do that, but still, they end the series with a dud.
They achieved the bare minimum, which is what this team kind of does. You look at their playoff standing right now. They are 1 game up on the Guardians for the last playoff spot that didn't exist a few years ago. So in my opinion, bare minimum. In terms of this Twin series, sweeps are hard, right? They're very difficult. One of the hardest things to do in the sport. You look at the Yankees, and they win the first 2 games of the series where they were clearly overmatching the opponent. Both starters, Will Warren and Carlos Rodon, wasn't even a competition with who the Twins were putting on the mound. You look at the Yankees lineup. You got a little optimistic there too, right? Because Aaron Boone went with the hot hands. Jason Minguez on the bench all 3 games. Austin Wells on the bench for the first 2 games. Ben Rice getting more exposure. Giancarlo Stanton in the field all 3 nights. I actually thought he might have gotten benched after the rain delay yesterday. Not benched, but removed from defense. But he didn't.
I would have made that move. Like, I don't want him running around on the wet grass. It's kind of a miracle, again, when you're evaluating the state of the Yankees, that Giancarlo Stanton did not slip and fall on a sewer drain in right field last night.
Yeah. You could see this slipping on the warning tracker, like when Bellinger was running for that ball in the corner in the 7th or 8th or whatever it was. Like if Stanton had to do that, you would have been crapping your pants the whole time.
Volpe fell over. Like that, people were falling over. I hate when they play in rain. I'll always hate it, but whatever.
It's annoying. But look, they got the job done. They got a series win. It's nothing that changes anything. We shouldn't be viewing this team through a different lens at this point. Even with a sweep, you should be like, oh, okay, so because in the event they did sweep this series, right? It would have been a narrow win over the Twins. They barely would have gotten a Joe Ryan. They would have maybe tacked on a couple extra runs against the Twins bullpen. Let's call it a 4-1 win. That doesn't sell you on anything. And you look at how they responded, right? So Aaron Boone says, you know what? Got to go with the guys who are helping us win. Does it against a team that completely got stripped down to the studs at the trade deadline. So, like, again, I'll take this more seriously when Aaron Boone wants to make meaningful lineup changes with clear intent against the Red Sox and we win a series, or the Astros and we win a series, but not the Twins, sir. And then secondly, like, it's hard. There's always going to be something to critique, but after last night's game, I think Aaron Boone gave back what he provided in the first 2 games. I don't know what the bullpen management was. We do now understand why the pinch hit situation didn't come to fruition because Paul Goldschmidt was injured, so that gets a pass. But Gary De Los Santos right after Cam Schlittler, you have an off day today. The rotation gave you 14 innings back to. That was the first time. What was the stat that they haven't pitched past the 6th inning in like 8 weeks or something, or 7 weeks it was? And then you finally get 2 back-to-back and you don't go for the jugular in game 3 when you have an off day today. I don't know. And there could have been other factors at play, I guess, but then you look at the other guys that were used in this one and it was like, why don't you just go to Doval or Leiter first? You know, why wasn't Devin Williams pitching an 8-1 the night prior? That's the lane for Devin Williams right now.
He was awesome. He was awesome yesterday. Shout out to Devin Williams, team MVP. You keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Very good. I mean, like, the lane for him was, you know, to put you in to put yourself in the best position to win. You know that game's over, right? 8-1 in the 9th. The game's fucking over. You're not losing that game unless you're the most incompetent team ever.
Well, look at the Mets last night, so don't say
true. You go to the guy who has been murdering you for weeks now, losing close games, who has thrived in low leverage where games doesn't matter. That's Devin Williams' lane. In the event it gets out of hand, you have an arsenal of arms to go after, and then you have even more of an excuse to not use Devin Williams ever again, maybe. Maybe we're approaching that conversation if he were to do something egregious in low leverage. But you use Yeri De Los Santos in that last inning, and then he's the first pitcher you call upon after Cam Schlittler battles through 5 innings. I like Cam Schlittler's vibe. I think he's absolutely fighting and battling every single start. It's kind of awesome to see. Yeah, I'd like to, you know, in my opinion, he battles better than most of the Yankees starters at this point over the last 2 months. Like, a lot of these guys who get into trouble, it spirals out of control, or they can't find their groove. Schlittler, like, look, he's a rookie. There's going to be the growing pains, but like, I'll take 5 and 1 earned every time, even if it's inefficient, if you will. 86 pitches. I wouldn't call it the best outing, but he's giving you a chance to sweep. Gave you a prime chance to sweep, and I understand the offense is a little bit to blame here. You gotta do a little bit more than that to help out your rookie pitcher, but at the same time, this is where manager comes into play. Manager supposed to keep game within reach, supposed to put the offense in a position to succeed. Then, if you get down to the last inning and the offense does what it does, and you're in extras and you're burning through the bullpen, then you could start blaming that group. But it's on Aaron Boone. And when you look at the totality of it, like, you only gained a game, winning 2 out of 3 against a really bad team. I know the Twins are really not that bad in the grand scheme of things, but you lap them in terms of talent, personnel, like you should lap them in terms of vibe. You're in a playoff spot. You are, things are largely fine with your personnel. I know things haven't been great with the Yankees in general, but I don't know how the bullpen decisions came to be. I will never get it. And again, this is why people are mad at Aaron Boone, because he was the clear reason that this team was held back last night.
Well, it was almost like, it wasn't quite as laughable as using Devin Williams in the Astros game in extra innings, but it was a situation where you don't want to, a prime example too of not giving people at home too much credit for their personnel moves, because everyone's screaming about why Austin Wells is hitting, and the answer is Paul Goldschmidt is hurt. So there are things you don't know. There are things you can't manage from your couch. But at the same time, the same game, inning after inning in the middle innings, it was every single inning the guy on the mound was a wait, what, why moment from home. From Yeri coming in, and your first impulse is like, he's been good. I guess they've got to cover 4 innings. I don't mind it. And then you remember he pitched the night before. And then you're like, wait a second, what the hell? Like, you have this fully rested bullpen, and you're not
3 relievers in 2 days. You used 3 other relievers in 2 days. That was it.
And you're not staying away from anyone at this point. So like, it's not like we're gonna try to ease off Leiter Jr. Well, he comes in right after. And Yeri gets BABIP'd to death a little bit. The Anthony Volpe almost made a great play, and Ben Rice, if he scoops it, Buxton's out, which is crazy. Volpe's been playing at another level defensively for the last 2.5 weeks. I don't know what happened, but something happened. And then hot shot down the line. I can't say Ryan McMahon should have made this play. Honestly, it should have been a double down the line, but he stops it. Some stupid skittering grounder, and suddenly it's 1st and 2nd. Then Clemens rocks his ass, and he leaves the game. So he should not be in that game. Leiter Jr. comes in to clean it up. So you use Leiter Jr. anyway, a guy who I would have loved to see with a clean inning instead of going one pop out, double to make it 4-1. Devin Williams comes in the 7th. And at that point, you just shrug and acknowledge, like, okay, fine. We're doing this. It's a white flag game, down 3. Why not? And then in the 8th, where Camilo Doval comes in this game anyway, can't Brent Hedrick go 2 innings? What is this? Like, why are we maintaining? We've decided now we need to maintain this after in the 5th, deciding that Yeri could come into a tie game on the 2nd straight, and now we use a larger chunk of the bullpen. Brent Hedrick gets hit with a ball. He gets rocked by a line drive. It is what it is. But every single inning, there was a moment of, wait, this now? Okay, I don't understand this. And I don't understand this either. Like, you can justify it all. But there was an hour where I was like, I don't get a single thing that happened. And only the Wells move was justifiable. Now, Goldie's hurt. He's already gone through tests. He never hits the IL. I saw last night he's hit the IL once in his career for a season-ending hit by pitch that fractured his hand. So he's never on the IL, and he might have to go on now. But it's a low-grade knee sprain. He might just deal with it. He might just tough it out. And the issue is not losing Goldschmidt, who's been good, not great for a while, and is probably going to, you could replace him. You could. And Nathaniel Lowe just got DFA'd, which makes me think, like, you need a first baseman for 10 days? Like, is that somebody that you want to try? But the issue is, you lost your lefty mashers in Rosario and Slater. Mashers in thick scare quotes, but you got 2 other guys to be lefty, righties who hit lefties, and they're gone. So you lose Goldschmidt, he's the last line of defense. How you've suddenly gone from 3 to 0. I hate this season. Like, it's a classic why even try stuff season. It's like, I liked that they had a plan for a week. When the plan is gone, they can't do the plan anymore. So now what do they got? Random stuff. And so that's an issue. But then also, okay, usually there's a ready-made replacement ready to come up from AAA, or at least somebody who you're like, okay, open the door. They trade Everson Pereira, so he's not on the 40-man anymore. The whole 40-man of eligible call-ups is York Vivas, who does absolutely nothing for you right now. God bless, good night and good luck. But Paul Goldschmidt replacement? No, hardly. And Braden Shoemake is the other guy.
Can't believe he's still here.
I can't survived on the 40-man roster all year without his name even being mentioned until mid-August, which is like an incredible feat. So, you want to call up Spencer Jones, you want Cody Bellinger to play first base. It's creative, it's bold, it's a little crazy. Is it really going to move a needle? He definitely doesn't one-to-one replace Paul Goldschmidt, but if it's Vivas or if it's Braden Shoemake, like, we're talking about There's no, you wish for a lateral move or you wish for a 5% loss on Goldschmidt. Those guys do absolutely nothing. So you go from a B in Goldschmidt in the second half. He's been fine. Yeah. He's had his moments. He can still hit lefties, to like an F+ with either of these moves, unless you call up Spencer Jones, which is bold and kind of strange, and you'd have to send him down in 10 days anyway, probably. So I guess the hope is that Goldschmidt just toughs it out, which I just said in the last show that I hate when people just tough it out and become diminished versions of themselves. But given the options, it's either Spencer Jones or like knee injections, because there's really nothing else. Or Nathaniel Lowe. Go crazy.
Do something. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know how at this point they didn't just say we're calling up Spencer Jones once the back spasm issue resolves itself. I guess maybe allowing him to get a few more reps after dealing with that would have been the smart move. But again, what's the lane? If you didn't trade Spencer Jones at this year's trade deadline, when like you could have potentially, look, I don't know. I'm not saying this would have been the right move, but you could have had Joe Ryan maybe for Spencer Jones. What do you think? Maybe could have done that.
I liked watching Joe Ryan yesterday. I'm going to really hate it next year when the Red Sox trade Jordan Hicks for him.
Yeah. If the Yankees did not trade Spencer Jones at this deadline, when I understand the talent pool this year was not anything that you were ready to jump at, but Spencer Jones going to another team that badly needs offensive help and is badly in need of a rebuild, and you could have maybe convinced them to part with somebody that they were on the fence with, like that was possible. We all know that's always possible. Like we see people pride from destinations all the time because asking prices change or GMs decide to overshoot and say, I want this guy, I'm going for it. So like if you've just told the world we're not trading Spencer Jones, again, the report came out after the deadline. The Yankees said they were only trading Spencer Jones if Paul Skeens was on the table. Paul Skeens will never be on the table. So the Yankees are living in fantasy land. They want to trade Spencer Jones for an asset that doesn't exist. Or that's the only way that they'd be forced to do it. So if you just drew the line in the sand and said, we're not trading Spencer Jones for anybody unless it literally involves one of the top 3 best talents in the league, then you're keeping him. Then you are playing him because there's nothing else you're going to do. The other option, keep him in AAA and let him hang out for a while. Like, no, we know what his flaws are. His flaws are he strikes out a lot. That's it. It happens. He's not a polished major leaguer by any means, but you're not learning anything else by keeping him in the minors. He already took the necessary step that he needed to in terms of breaking out at AA after struggling massively last year, and then immediately, without even a delay, destroying AAA to the extent where it was like people were saying 3 weeks ago, what do we have to lose here? Like, there is nothing that's stopping us right now from doing this. So I don't know why the move wouldn't be Spencer Jones if Paul Goldschmidt were to have to go on the IL. I understand that creates some sort of awkwardness. Like, look, things are already a little bit awkward right now. Jason Dominguez hasn't played a full game since the middle of last week. He was a part-timer in 2 out of those 3 Astros games. He got pulled late, or he got put in late. Getting put in late, the funniest thing you could ever imagine, because that's the opposite of how he should be being used. But you have that. You have the difficult Austin Wells stuff. And look, you have guys you can option too. You can option Austin Wells right now. I'm not going to advocate for it, but like he's bad. And again, we don't know. Is Austin Wells a bad baseball player? I don't think so. He's bad right now. It could be a finger thing. It could be mental issues as a result of the injury. It could be mental issues as a result of this entire team sucking, and it's not a good place to be.
Yeah, I have mental issues. I don't even have to play. I don't have to go to the stadium every day.
Yeah, our content is suffering badly because of that.
Oh my God, I'm going on vacation next week. I cannot wait because maybe my mental issues will be resolved when I return. But they will be playing the Red Sox, so probably not.
Right when you get back too, right?
One of them when I'm literally going to be battling with a plane to see if the game will end before I board or not. So that'll be absolute torture for me. But
there you go. So you look at what they can do. Like I don't think there's any. If you're going to bench Dominguez, like how long is he going to stay up for? Like I don't think either of those things should necessarily happen, but the option, like the options are there if you want to make a move that rocks the boat. Like clearly, Jason Dominguez is batting 197 with a 560 OPS since the All-Star break. If you splice it over his last 28 days, it's just as bad. You know, we're talking about over a month of an inability to deliver.
I love when people bitch about him not being in the lineup too. There were so many quote tweets this week.
Really?
I think it was the second game of the series. It was like, no Dominguez again. It's like, you trying to win games or not? Like, it's stunting his development. It's August. It's August 14th. Like,
they stunted his development earlier this year. It's already done. They benched him. They took him out as a late defensive replacement in games where they didn't need to because they needed him to get those reps early in the year before it started to really matter and screw the team over. And they rarely ever rewarded him with getting pushed up in the lineup. We were going to blow a gasket over the Subway Series. They put him in the leadoff spot. He absolutely dominates. He hits 2 homers and 3 RBIs in a game that they should have won that Luke Weaver ended up blowing. And then he's benched the next day, and then he's batting 6th on Sunday. And it's like, what's going on? And if you look at Dominguez's numbers, funny enough, in the leadoff spot or leading off an inning, his numbers are immaculate. That's like where the best he's been in terms of the splits. So but like you look at his performance all year, the Yankees did not reward him in short spurts, and they didn't give him the leash earlier in the year. So like now the struggles are mounting and they're getting worse, and his at-bats are costing the team games. Like he came up on a lot of high leverage spots over the last month, and he did not come close to delivering it. In fact, a lot of uncompetitive at-bats that made everybody be like, what's happening here? They kept trotting him out against left-handed pitching. Don't know why. You had data from this back in the minor leagues. He could barely handle it in the minor leagues. You think he's going to handle it in the big league? So the Yankees might have screwed up another prospect that was viewed as all world once upon a time, for all we know. But at this rate, I don't know how much anybody's complaining. You have another large sample size of his demise in some respect, costing the Yankees game, among many other things, right? The blame isn't on Jason Dominguez. Jason Dominguez is a symptom of a much larger problem, but if you're trying to, again, scrape together some wins, and it's, do we play Jason Dominguez in the field, or do we bench Giancarlo Stanton? It's Giancarlo Stanton every single time. There's no argument, and there's no benching Trent Grisham. There's no giving Trent Grisham a day off. There's no giving Cody Bellinger a day off. There's no giving Aaron Judge a day off if he's only DHing. So the options are Dominguez sits on the bench until further notice, and that's just the way it's got to be. So I don't know who's complaining about that. Like, you're watching this entire team fall apart at the seams for the last 2.5 months. You're going to draw the line at Jason Dominguez, who's been, again, he has 9 home runs and 38 RBIs on the year. A majority of that production has come across 6 total games. 6 total games out of 100. He's not consistent. He's made a lot of bad defensive plays. He's made multiple base running gaffes where his head's not in the game. He's not an option right now. Just plain and simple.
And you're drawing the line again, talking about drawing the line at Stanton, who's in his hottest era as a Yankee.
He's so hot.
Like, you're putting Dominguez in the game. Like, the second game of the Twin Series, you're going to be like, it's time to give Giancarlo a day off. We got to get Dominguez his reps.
Never.
Because otherwise we might stunt his development. This game against the Twins is the difference between his development clicking and being stunted. Like, I don't know what you're trying to tell me. The quote tweets, unnecessary. Stanton, praise you. Like, we are now in a remarkable man, a remarkable turnaround. I was definitely getting to the point where I was like, double elbow tendonitis. I know Stanton's a slow starter, but double elbow tendonitis Stanton, I just don't know. Like, I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if he's going to come back. There's reason to believe that there is something preventing him from getting into his rhythm other than just being starting midstream and having a difficult road to the, his premiere this year. But God, he's good. And he just finished his highest 30-day OPS period as a Yankee. Like, he's never been better. So I go back and forth every single day between you got to play him every day. You cannot take him out of this lineup. Under no circumstances can he be riding the pine, whether it's 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row, 5 in the outfield. It doesn't matter. He's got to play versus whatever they've been doing. Occasional off days there for Stan too. And people get upset for good reason because he's been incredible. maybe the occasional off days are what is saving his bat and allowing him to be as fresh as he's been. And then I check, and he hasn't really had those off days since Aaron Judge came back. He's had 2. One of them was the turf, which I endorse. I don't want Stanton running around on that turf. And, one of them was just in the Rays series. They play 4 games. They bench him once. That's the only one where you could be like, that was a little bit weird. But he hasn't really taken breathers. He has mostly been playing, and he's been in the outfield a lot. And I don't think he should play he got an off day today. So I think he's going to get a 4th straight game in the outfield in St. Louis. And does he play all 3 in there in St. Louis? I wouldn't. But then again, maybe I would. I could be convinced.
Yeah, why wouldn't? What's the only argument at this point? You're afraid he's going to get hurt?
I just think it's a dangerous game, and you got to be afraid he's going to get hurt. But you also have to balance being afraid he's going to get hurt with the realization that you're taking. Stanton is as hot as he's ever been right now, and you're saying to yourself, I'm so worried about the risk that I got to get him out of the lineup entirely. As if you're, but of course, the flaw is you're going to start him in the outfield the next day. So you're terrified of the risk on Saturday, but not on Sunday.
Exactly.
You got to live a little.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it all too. And we talked about it last episode. This team, and part of the Brian Cashman comments 2 off seasons ago, where he disrespectfully said being injured is part of Stanton's game. I wouldn't say that, but the reality is that Giancarlo Stanton's been injured every single year with the exception of 2018 since coming to the Yankees. They already know what life is like without Giancarlo Stanton. Like, it cost us 2 playoff runs because he wasn't available. It sucks. Like, part of the reality, but the Yankees have clearly known what to do when Giancarlo Stanton is unavailable. I understand right now you cannot by any means remove him. The only way that you can justify him not being there is if he does get injured. But at the same time, like, what's an extra day on his feet? If we're talking about playing him, 13 games in a row, okay, yeah, like that's a little bit crazy. But you play him 3 in a row in the field, you have an off day, you see how Friday goes. It should just be you take it one day at a time. You ask him how he's feeling. He's going to be candid with you, I feel. Like he's kind of been that guy for years now in terms of laying it all out there. He doesn't pull any punches at this point. So I don't know. And like, I'm not saying, hey, test it out and see if he gets injured. It's just like, he's playing well. He's clearly feeling good because are we forgetting the man had double elbow tendonitis? Like, this is the best we've ever seen him. So he got over whatever pain was dragging him down dating back to last year. Now he's able to play some defense and mix it in. Clearly, maybe the getting on the field, we've theorized this for years. Hey, maybe mixing it up with some defensive reps for Giancarlo Stanton can do him well. Hard hitting is hard. Hitting is so fucking hard. To get 4 at-bats a game and just go back to sitting on the bench, like, there's a mental toll there. You can see, you could feel it. If you have you strike out 4 times, you're just sitting there with your thoughts in the dugout, and then maybe that creates a prolonged slump. Obviously, Giancarlo Stanton, I think, is a better and mature hitter than that, as he's proven being baked into the DH role essentially since 2019, but there should be no fear on the Yankees in terms of anything right now. Because really the biggest thing is that your goal can't be the last wild card spot because you're going to Houston. Because I don't think Houston's going to end up performing better than the Tigers. I don't think Houston's going to end up performing better than the Blue Jays. Because the Blue Jays have they're 9 games over 500 against teams with a winning record, which I think is a big indicator for how you're able to weather the storm. Like, they're a completely different team this year. I don't know what happened. And maybe it's just baseball, the weird year-over-year stuff where like remember last year talking about, got to trade Bo Bichette. Like, you have no options. Trade him low too. It doesn't matter what the value is. Just get
he doesn't like you. He doesn't like you. He's not coming back.
Now it's, hey, why don't we get Bo Bichette on a contract extension? That sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? So it's classic baseball and funny how it works. But like, Tigers and Brewers. Well, Brewers then Tigers, the 2 best teams in baseball since last year's trade deadline. So I'm not betting on the tie. I know they've underwent a slide. Think about how bad their slide has been over the last 3 weeks. It doesn't even compare to what the Yankees have done for the last 2.5 months. So I'm not betting on either of those teams falling off in the standings. I'm also not betting the Mariners are 11-1 since the trade deadline, something insane. They're unstoppable. The Red Sox, I think, are a better team than us. Better manager, better athleticism, all of that. So, like, I think for the most part, these standings are pretty static with the exception of the Yankees. And guess what? Even if there is a scenario where like this is probably a little bit of a stretch, but like let's say the Rangers win the division, right? Because the Astros are dealing with a lot of injuries, number one. Number two, the Rangers have the best pitching staff in the league potentially.
Every time you face them, DeGrom, even Patrick Corbin, Evaldi, they're disgusting.
Here is the moral of the story is this. If you end up in Texas for the first round of the playoffs, you're out. You're out. So you can't be in that position. You need to be the second wild card, or you need to figure out a way to you need to be the first or second wild card, or you need to figure out a way to win the division. That's really it at this point. So that's where they got to figure it out. And I don't. And the formula goes back to this: Giancarlo Stanton playing as much as he physically can, with you keeping tabs on him, and these lineup decisions. Jason Dominguez on the bench, Austin Wells on the bench, like. They got to keep coming. Bullpen, we got to tighten that up. We've been talking about that for 7 years, though, so I don't know how that's going to change. But at the very least, over the last couple of years, I think Aaron Boone's been a little bit more malleable in terms of being like, okay, no, we got to go with this guy in the lineup. That's that. We'll figure this out later.
It still feels like you laid it out. I mean, the upside, what are we rooting for? What are we saying the state of the team heading into St. Louis? Like, we listed a whole bunch of teams we think are better than the Yankees. We listed a whole bunch of difficult road playoff series. Like when we're rooting for them to make the playoffs, that's what we're rooting for. A series where they're not going to be favored and a series where I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in them. And that's true if Texas makes a move. That like the Guardians are the only team the Yankees can match up with where I would be like, I think we got the edge. So we're hoping for a miracle. Basically, we're hoping to make the playoffs because the playoffs are a status symbol. But what are the playoffs? You want to win baseball games. You don't want to tune in and watch your team lose baseball games. I wake up and I root against the Red Sox. That's something I would like to do. I'll be spending the rest of my year rooting against the Red Sox. This time, it has a direct impact on my team, the Yankees, who are jockeying with position for them. That's nice. But in terms of, increased faith, I mean, still have faith that they can make the playoffs, but don't know what that entails. And there's no matchup in the first round they could walk into unless they go on a 22-6 run and take the first wild card and have home field advantage, or somehow the Blue Jays slide, where I would be like, all right, not only are they in the playoffs, but let's strap in for a long October. Mm-hmm. And any version of that heater comes from Stanton playing almost every day and continuing to hit at a similar level to this, because I need him in the playoffs. I also need him now. There's really no way to say we're going to unveil this secret weapon when we get to the postseason and it's Giancarlo Stanton. Because I guarantee you they're not getting there, and they're not getting there with a semblance of a headwind unless they play him for the majority of the next month and a half. And he continues. He's not going to have his highest OPS in a 30-day chunk again. Probably, hey, what if he does? That'd be great. But 850 to 900, right, instead of 1,100 or whatever it's been. 850 to 900 to 950. Beat Giancarlo Stanton, beat playoff Stanton, and the Yankees have a chance to get in and be noisy. But don't be playoff Stanton, or don't play like we don't even have him, or we're easing off the throttle because we're worried we might not have him. That's not going to cut it at this point. And they're going to need to continue to be bold. And Aaron Judge, no outfield for you, man. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Just I don't want to see that.
No, we don't want that. And look, not to also sound careless about Giancarlo Stanton. This is these next 2 years are the end of his career. Like the next 2-3 years are it. So like, I'm not saying burn him out, but like, this is where you start trying to get the most out of him that you possibly can. And I think he would probably be in agreement with that.
Does he want to not play down the stretch run? Like,
he's Hall of Fame numbers. Like, he's got to log these games. He's still, in my opinion, not like he's not recovering his Yankees legacy, but he's still cementing it. Last year's playoff run did a major boost for his popularity in New York, for I think partially his Hall of Fame argument, and doing a turnaround because of all the injuries in the early days and the strikeouts as an inability in what was a reflection of his inability to get into a rhythm because of those injuries. So like, look, again, you communicate with the guy, but there is no reason if he's feeling good, he shouldn't be playing every single day because he's the heartbeat of the team right now. Again, this is the craziest baseball swings and ball trajectories I've ever seen in my life. And I think that goes for everybody who's watched baseball like pretty religiously over the past 20 years. You've never seen anything like it. Like Barry Bonds might be the only other comparison in terms of the sheer power and just the absolute dominance in the batter's box and controlling the strike zone when he's hot. But like that home run in Texas from Stanton, unbelievable. The home run this week against the Twins, like didn't even look like he put that much into it. And it's 16 rows up the bleachers. It's just, it's the craziest shit you've ever seen. And there is not much more time for that to exist. Like a lot of the conversation around Giancarlo Stanton since the beginning of his career was that he's too big, doesn't have a body for baseball, injury prone, not good on his feet, risk playing defense. So like, if he's in a good spot physically and right field in Yankee Stadium, Aaron Judge makes it look easy. It's just not the hardest thing to do. It's a small confine, and it's like it's not hard in terms of like here's what I don't need Giancarlo Stanton making diving plays. I need him to just not fumble the ball or drop the ball when he's exchanging it to his glove, and he's more than capable. So
and I don't know if you know this, but it's a short porch.
In case you didn't know, Yankee Stadium has a short porch. So like I look at that and I understand it's not going to be the same thing in Busch Stadium, right? It's going to be a little bit more spacious. It's not going to be easier in that sense, but he should be out in right field every home game for as long as this team needs him. And you talk personnel, it's about contagiousness, who's hot. Who's in the lineup, who could stay hot, who can get streaks going, who can drive in a runner with 2 outs, who can bring you that clutch hit. And right now it's like mostly Giancarlo Stanton, Cody Bellinger, Trent Grisham, Ben Rice cameos here and there. Anthony Volpe's even done it a bunch since the All-Star break. So like just that crew has to remain in there. And, they have to do better than they did last night against a good pitcher because you're only going to be facing good pitchers when the games start to matter. But taking the heartbeat out of the lineup at any point, unless you're forced to, it feels really stupid.
And if we're talking about who's hot, and if we're talking about being careful with people, then I'd rather give Stanton a DH day in St. Louis and give Aaron Judge a day off because he is quite literally nursing an injury that is preventing him from playing in the outfield. He's been fine. He had a big home run in this series. He's not making me put my hand on my chin and go, ooh, get him out of there. Like he's compromised, but he's actively injured. So if there's anybody who we need to be extra cautious with and say, keep Stanton off his feet today, we can lose Judge from this lineup because we don't want to lose Judge for the season. So he's the one you have to be careful with. And it's not like his bat right now is making him an undeniable presence in this lineup. He needs to be handled carefully. So if you're going to handle one of them carefully, you get the double-barreled, you get a Stanton DH day, you get a Judge off day. It should definitely be on the agenda for Saturday. Then Aaron Judge doesn't have to face Sonny Gray, so I don't have to hear those stats either. That would be cool. One final thing I want to talk about too, roster crunch is going to get crazy. And everyone will have their own opinions here on what they should do. And you mentioned that there are alternate solutions, like optionable people. Like if Jason Dominguez is not going to start in the playoffs, it's an optionable guy. There are wild routes you can take, but at the base level, there are a bunch of moving pieces, and they're going to have some easy losses, and they're going to have some way more difficult discussions and decisions to stomach. And that's, again, none of this is saying you can't option Jason Dominguez or Austin Wells, but it's just saying there isn't like, okay, 6 are coming back, 6 go down. That was simple. Now we don't have to think about this anymore. Austin Slater is coming back at some point. And maybe he's not, right? Again, maybe the solution is he's just not. Ahmed Rosario is coming back at some point, I think. I don't know. Again, maybe the solution is he's just not. But every time those guys have moved around, it's been major leaguers going in the IL to accommodate them. So, like, they got Rosario, and Judge to the IL was the corresponding move. They didn't have to DFA anybody. They get Slater, and he, replaces Peraza or whatever. But then he goes down to accommodate Judge coming back. So there's only one optionable player on the bench, and it's JC Escarra right now. And again, it could be Wells, it could be Dominguez.
Caballero, right?
Sure, but I don't really know why you. I guess.
I wouldn't do it either, but yeah.
But yes, of course. So you're gonna have to bring Slater and Rosario back if they're ready. You gave up assets for them. You'd like to have them, and there are only 2 expanded roster spots available in September. It goes from 26 to 28. So one of them is going to have to be for Slater or Rosario, whoever comes back first, because one of them is going to be Escarra down, and one of them is going to be nothing, no corresponding. So you're going to probably have to use one on a position player, unless you demote Caballero or demote Dominguez or Wells or Volpe. It's probably not going to happen. So then the bullpen gets 1 expanded spot. Not ideal.
Absolutely not. You can't do that. There's no way they can do that.
And here's who's coming back. You got Ryan Yarbrough coming back pretty soon. He's getting ready for rehab assignments. You got Fernando Cruz, who's got 3 rehab assignments, and then you got to bring him back. And he is ready. He was in the dugout trolling Ben Rice yesterday. For some reason, he looks great. Jonathan Loaizaga, who's on the IL with fake disease, has to come back at some point, or you have to make a decision on him. I'm not saying he has to come back, but you have to make a decision on him because he's a guy who demands a choice at some point. Or the choice could be permanent IL. The choice could be DFA, but it's another guy. So who goes down? Brent Hedrick goes down. Thank you for your service. He's the one who goes down first for sure. Yarbrough maybe a 1-to-1, but yeah. Yerry De Los Santos, who was carrying a mid-1 ERA into yesterday's game, has to get demoted for the second guy. So Yarbrough, Cruz for Yerry and Hedrick. And then Loaizaga has to come back. If you think he does have to come back, either he's your expanded roster guy and Yerry's gone, or if you want to keep Yerry, then someone's got to go down. Cam Schlittler, Devin Williams on waivers. If it's after September 1st,
maybe.
Fans out of MLB Insider Robert Murray talked to me about it yesterday. Unsourced, but just like a thing he was thinking. If it doesn't get any better, is that a guy you're willing to lose? Like, is it going to come down to who would you rather have in the bullpen, Loaizaga or Devin Williams? For me, it's Devin Williams, unpopular opinion. But it's going to have to be a little bit weird. Or they're going to have to use 2 expanded roster bullpen spots for Yerry and Loaizaga and DFA, or send down somebody on like Caballero, lose him as an asset, or just never bring Austin Slater back and DFA him. They acquired too many people because the roster as it wasn't good enough. Yeah. And here's your problem. There you go.
So in my opinion, there is no reason for Austin Slater to come back because Jose Caballero does the same thing, and he also hits left-handers better. Austin Slater was acquired to play outfield defense and hit left-handers. And for some reason, everyone thought Jose Caballero was coming in to back up Anthony Volpe. And I guess that that could still happen. But again,
I haven't seen him in a while. Like, is he on the team?
Yeah. Is he just hanging out? I don't know. But either way, he hasn't played shortstop this year, everybody. So he's not coming in at this point to back up Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe has done a good job over the last month-ish telling everybody that his position is fine for the most part. He's not going anywhere, and not that it was ever real. Some fans fantasized about it, but we know the Yankees aren't doing it. The Yankees aren't taking reps away from him. They're not optioning him. So what it looks like for me is, if you want to create more spots for pitching, one of Austin Wells and Jason Dominguez gets optioned. And I don't think that's controversial at this point. I think that's simply going with the personnel who are going to help you succeed. And then all those pitchers come back and you option who? Hedrick. And then you, again, not to sound mean, but you want to bring Jonathan Loaizaga back? Great. You are using him and his arm to preserve the rest of this bullpen for October. So September, the first sign of this game's over, Jonathan Loaizaga is coming in and he's pitching 2 innings, and it doesn't matter what those 2 innings look like. Doesn't matter if he goes 15 pitches. Doesn't matter if he goes 45. That's what he's used for. So I think there's a way to do it and to get the proper pitching personnel. At this rate, I am very much not sure if we are going to see Jason Dominguez and Austin Wells in the postseason. Like, I just don't know. Do I think JC Escar is the option? I don't, but like, he's definitely not worse than Austin Wells right now in terms of an option. Like, he hasn't played a whole lot. We understand that, but his defense isn't worse than Wells, and his offense is not worse than Wells. It's probably all just on par, or maybe a little bit better based on how Austin Wells has performed over the last 6 weeks. In terms of Jason Dominguez, again, like, if you're bringing up Spencer Jones, that's the guy that you option, in my opinion. And if you want to keep him and that's kind of the way the rest of the lineup goes, then great. But I looked at this lineup as constructed, and you free up a spot because there's no place for Austin Slater. You talk about a hamstring injury too, with the severity that was. Like, what use is he going to be in the middle of September for this team? Were you planning on using him on the postseason roster? I certainly hope not.
Can we have Gage Zeal back? Like, we're giving up assets for a guy who plays 1.25 games and then his hamstring explodes.
So it was again, this is all a symptom of the offseason stuff. You don't build the depth, then you panic a little bit at the trade deadline and you acquire too many assets, and now you're in a position where it's like, all right, well, what's next? What's next is, like, you need the pitching staff to preserve itself because you just got 5 innings for out of almost all your starter, 5 innings or fewer for the last 2 months. So everybody's tired. We've been here every year. The bullpen is gassed. Happened last year, happened the year before, happened in 2022. So the way to do it and to create the lane is to use as not garbage arms. I'm not trying to be a mean guy, but you use expendable arms for the final month to eat up innings when you're up 7-1, to eat up innings when you go down 5-0 and it's the 6th inning and you're just winging it and you're hoping you can maybe come back. But, you know, a game like last night, for example, there's no reason you should be using 5 relievers in 4 innings if you know how to manage a bullpen. So it also comes down to that.
Yeah, just stay tuned, everybody. If you thought the drama was over based on the trade deadline, no, so much more drama to come, and maybe some wins. Maybe some wins, perhaps some wins. I don't know. But we got 2 this week, 2 more than I was expecting at the baseline level of pulling my damn hair out every time the New York Yankees play a baseball game. Now they go to St. Louis. They have 3 fun and interesting pitching matchups. Max Fried struggling, but facing Sonny Gray on Saturday. They've got Will Warren back in this series, looking great. They got Luis Gil against Andre Payante on a Friday night. And a blessed off day to you all today. Thank goodness. No baseball today. The best you could currently hope for is you scoreboard watch the Miami Marlins in Cleveland, Ohio. Again, this is our fate. This is our lives. This is what we're doing right now as we wait for the Giants D-line to start wrecking teams in 10-7 losses all season long. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. Thomas Carinante. Next week I'll be off. I don't know what your thoughts, plans, hopes, and dreams are for the podcast, but there's no better time to turn on the notifications. Subscribe, everybody. If you don't know when we're going to go live, which is usually 2 p.m. Eastern on Mondays and Thursdays, now y'all know. Y'all know first if you subscribe and turn on your bells. But where can the people find you?
I'm at Tommy's_takes. We'll see what the play is like. Do I want to melt down on here solo? Do I want to bring on some friends to talk about the Yankees? I don't know. It's a day-to-day relationship right now with these guys. It's hard. So we'll see. But Monday and Thursday, you can probably count on it. Wanted to bring this up because I disrespected the Mariners when I was talking earlier. They're in second place in the AL West. I was talking about if Texas were to make the leap, they're 3 games behind the Mariners or 4 games behind, something like that.
Yeah.
That said, you go to Texas Yankees, you're dead. I also don't think you're winning in Seattle.
They're getting the shit kicked out of them by the Orioles right now.
They are. But
for whatever reason.
Mostly been great. Whatever the trade deadline moves were, if they're not paying off individually, the team has been uplifted by it. Morale, we've talked about this before. So, like, you want to talk about the Yankees? I know the Yankees have had that mental edge over Seattle. It kind of feels like every time we go there, we just handle business. Every time they come here, it's one of those series where it's like, yeah, they should get right. They'll get it together. But again, stakes all the way up on the road, West Coast, arguably the best rotation in the league. Like, again, it's them or Texas in terms of everyday output, and an offense that's kind of relentless at the moment, I don't think you survive in Seattle either. So you really have to avoid that being your first series of the playoffs. That's all. I just didn't want to disrespect Seattle because I know those people they're serious folks about their baseball.
Mariners fans, thank you for listening. As always, we disrespect. They're on fire, except for, again, for whatever reason, they cannot handle Jackson Holiday. And I guess that little bit of doubt maybe creeping into Mariners fans' minds as they go, wait, I thought this was the year where it was going to be easy to get to the playoffs. It's never easy. It's always hard. It's always impossible. The Tigers are watching the Guardians gain on them, and the Guardians aren't good. But the Guardians are gaining on everybody, including us. They're gaining on us the most, perhaps, many people are saying. We'll see where the Yankees are this time next week, week after that. It's been 2 blessed months without a Red Sox series, but that comes to an end next week. At least it's at home, but I don't even know what that means. It just means I don't have to watch Fenway Park. Yeah. That's all it means. It doesn't mean home field advantage. Looking forward to it. No, it doesn't mean home field advantage. It just means I quite literally don't have to see the people that live in the city of Boston as my team is playing a baseball game. That is all it means. No crowd shots, no cutaways, no guy waving a towel around. And you're like, does that guy think he can influence the fucking game? And then he does, like the Red Sox homer. And you're like, oh, I guess that fucking guy influenced the fucking game. So it just means I don't have to watch that person who I just made up in my head. No, there was a guy in the Cedon Rafaela walk-off earlier this year who was just like, ooh, and I was like, does that guy think he's doing anything? And then he did, because the home run left the stadium. To have that power again, it would be great. Yankees, Red Sox in New York, in the Bronx. You got to come on my turf and embarrass me. I'm not going there. Again, my most unpopular take, but also I think should be a popular take. If you're wearing a Red Sox hat around New York, you should be made to feel a little bit uncomfortable. You just shouldn't be happy. This is for the smug dads in Park Slope walking around with a Red Sox hat, just day by day. If I can't wear a Yankees hat in Boston, you can't wear a Red Sox hat, smug dad walking around Brooklyn. And I'm not even saying that you should feel threatened. I'm just saying that if somebody walks past you and goes, you suck ass, you should be like, yeah, I guess I earned that. Like you shouldn't be impenetrable. That's all. I would never wear a Yankees hat in Boston ever.
No.
Because I respect the boundaries. And yet we've got all of these 37-year-old dads from Brookline with their sons Braden walking around Park Slope going, I'm a fan of the Boston Red Sox. Yeah. I know you are.
That they put like slits in and ripped up to make it seem like they've been wearing it for 40 years.
Yeah, okay, Lobsterman. Like I see you. Just got off the pontoon boat and came to Red Hook Tavern. Yeah, I don't think so. That's the take. Like it's just you can wear it around New York, but you have to accept that I'm going to walk past you and go sucks. Where people are going to look at you like you deserve looks. You don't get the looks anymore. Yeah. You don't get construction workers looking at you going, fuck you, buddy. Like, but if I'm in Boston, a guy in Fenway Park once chased me into the bathroom for wearing a John Lackey shirt. Who was on the Red Sox.
That's a level of fandom where that guy was like, this guy's fucking with me, isn't he?
I was. It was the chicken and it was 2012. It was after the chicken and beer, and he had like a 5.5 ERA. I bought it for $5, and I went as John Lackey for Halloween. Then I wore it to Fenway, and the guy chased me into the bathroom. But that was me wearing a Red Sox shirt at Fenway Park. I would never wear a Yankees hat of any kind. And don't even get me started on the people who wear Red Sox shit to Yankees A's, which is my number one. Yeah. Just walking around the stands going, I root for the Boston Red Sox. Great. Yeah.
Did you hear the news?
Yeah. This is actually quite crazy, but neither of these teams is my team. What's my team, in fact, do you guys want to know? It's the ball.
I'm just here because I love ball.
It's actually the enemy team. Isn't that crazy? I wouldn't be caught dead in a Yankees hat, so I'm wearing this. Great, no one asked you. How about you just don't wear a hat?
Yeah, just wear a nice little a short sleeve collared shirt, pair of jeans, your sneakers that you walk around in all the time, and go enjoy baseball. If you love ball so much, right? We all go to games. We go to games in different cities.
Yep.
I'm not walking around in Derek Jeter. I know other Yankees fans. Like, it's a fandom argument for the most part. Like, Yankee fans are doing that in Boston. Good luck.
Yeah, I
That's all
also
I have to
think
say
you
to you.
should. I also think
Yeah.
you shouldn't do
Yeah.
that.
If you want to, again, great. There should be at least consequences for that, or some sort of level of respect in some ways. Because think about it, like I don't know, you talk about a Red Sox fan doing that in a random game. Like, why would anybody in the world want to see a Yankees jersey at like a Padres Dodgers game?
No,
Nobody wants to think about that. So just be better.
just be better. That's all I'm saying. That's it. We'll see everybody back here. Thomas might rant next week. I'll be back in a week and a half. The Red Sox series will be over. I'll be refreshed. Will I be rested? Will I be happy? Very much a TBD, but we'll see you back here after all of that nonsense. Be careful with your hats. I'm talking to you, Brooklyn. Just be careful with your hats. Until next time, I'm Adam Weiner for Thomas Garnante. I'll see you later.